Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. And today I'm going to talk about a band called Purple Image. And boy, I'll tell you, what a band. I'm glad to hear that it's highly collectible now. Once again, Light in the Attic has reissued their one and only album that came out in 1970. And what a record it is. I actually bought the record in cutouts back around 73 or 74. The cover's really crazy looking. I had no idea what to expect, and I was pretty blown away. They formed in Cleveland, Ohio in 1968, and they had a lot of kinship to bands like Death and Black Murder, some other black uh, rock bands are mixing rock and funk. But I'll tell you what, Purple Image is one of the best and one of the greatest, and definitely a cross between Parliament Funkadelic and Sly and the Family Stone. And I guess Warren Adams formed the band because he was so influenced by Sly and the Family Stone, but they have a decidedly more rock edge in a big way. So they were around from 1968 to 1974. They toured the East Coast between 1970 and 1971. Apparently have a lot more material in the vault. I'm surprised they haven't come out in a reissue as bonus tracks. And then there's a radio show they did on WNCR radio in August 1972, which would have to be something to hear, I'm sure. But they put out their own 45, Marching to a Different Drummer, in January 1970. It was a big regional hit in Cleveland, so people were ready for them, and I'm not surprised that Sly and the Family Stone part of their sound is pretty pronounced. They even had a female singer that reminds me of the vocals in Sly and the Family Stone. But Warren Adams on piano and organ, William Adams, his brother, on vocals and congas, Kenny Roberts on vocals and rhythm guitar, Frank Smith on guitar, Richard Payne on drums, Del Moran on bass, Ed Snodgrass on sax, and Diane Dunlap on vocals. So a nine-piece band, huge band. But the album came out on Map City in 1970, which was a subsidiary of Delight Records, which was having a lot of success with Kool and the Gang. And but Purple Image, wow, there's a 15-minute version of the single "Marching to a Different Drummer" that just has ends with a bunch of cacophony, a lot of really wild Hendrixy guitar work, really screeching free jazz kind of sax playing. So it's something to hear. But the opening track, "Living in the Ghetto," is just monumental. Right off the bat, you get a blast from this band, and it's definitely more like almost proto metal hard rock compared to something that Parliament Funkadelic would do. Obviously, Parliament Funkadelic had a lot of rock influence, as did Sly and the Family Stone, but they tended to be funk with psychedelia. But Purple Image is definitely more of a hard rock band, and the riffs in "Living in the Ghetto" are killer. Great band. All the musicianship is top notch, and that guitar player is just killer. So you go from really great Parliament Funkadelic kind of funk rock metal sort of things, and then some more straightforward kind of funky things that are like Sly and the Family Stone. There's even a little gospel thrown in. But boy, of all the lost funk rock records of that era, Purple Image has definitely got to be the number one uh, record like that in my book, and well worth hearing. It surprises me more to hear the record nowadays than it did back then, because now you can listen to it and really grasp how amazing it is. So if you lean towards that kind of funk rock and you love Sly and the Family Stone, or even better, Parliament Funkadelic, you really have to hear Purple Image, really one of a kind band. And there's no telling what they could have done had they remained together. As I've said so many times about so many of these bands that I talk about, it's such a shame they only managed to get one album out, and that one album is magnificent, but it really would have been great to hear what kind of development they would have had, and if they'd continued to embrace hard rock as part of their formula, and what kind of extrapolations and experimentation they would have done. And in the hands of a band like Purple Image, it would have been astounding, I'm sure. So I would imagine a lot of people watching my videos probably never heard of Purple Image. You can rectify that, because I'll post it below, and As I said, if you like Parliament Funkadelic, uh, get ready to have your mind blown by Purple Image. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.